When we think of a Beatles guitar solo, we automatically think of George Harrison. But many times he wasn't the one playing the solo or lead guitar. In this video I want to focus on someone who is probably the second best guitarist in the band. That's right, Paul McCartney. It might sound strange to call Paul the second best guitarist since he was the bassist of the group, but that's how it is. Besides being a great bass player and singer, he was also an amazing guitarist. And if you think about it, he played more guitar solos than John Lennon. In the past, many people believe all the guitar parts were played by George or Lennon, but now, thanks to all the information we have about the recording sessions, we can know who actually played what. Today, besides going through some of his best guitar work with the band, I want to focus on his unique way of creating guitar solos. Paul played guitar on many Beatles songs, so let's look at a few examples and break down his style a bit. Even though Paul started playing lead guitar in the Help album, it was in Rubber Soul where we really noticed how good he was at creating cool riffs and solos. In this song, Paul used his Epiphone Casino ES230 TD. This is the guitar he used most of the time when playing lead. In the intro and the solo, we can hear Paul using pentatonic scales, and also sliding during the solo and the outro. In 1966, on the Revolver album, we find more examples of Paul as lead guitarist. Here we hear a guitar style that was very new at that time, with two guitars playing together in harmony. Even though Paul wasn't the only lead guitarist on this song, George also played. This is still one of the best guitar solos Paul ever recorded. Later the same year, in 1966, they started working on two singles alongside the Sgt. Pepper album. One of them was Strawberry Fields Forever. This song has one of the most interesting and psychedelic guitar parts in the Beatles catalog. It has a beautiful and dreamy arpeggio in the first minute. I'm still not sure who played that part, but since this video is about Paul, let's focus on the solo. There is some mystery around who played the solo, but as you heard, I believe it was McCartney. And before I keep talking about it, I want to explain a special style that Paul started using in those years. I call it... Yes, it's a weird name, but I'll explain. I promise we'll go back to Strawberry Fields in a moment. Since 1965, we started hearing Indian influences in Beatles songs. For example, Norwegian Wood was the first time we heard a sitar. But it wasn't until 1966 that Paul also started using these sounds. At the end of I Want to Tell You, we hear a vocal scale very similar to the melody in Love You Too. I've got time. Another example is this live version of If I Needed Someone in Japan. So what I'm trying to say with these examples? Well, after doing some research, I found a name that fits this kind of sound in Indian music. It's called Murki. It's a quick ornament or decoration in a melody.
Then it is called Murki. For an example, this is a phrase. Sa ni sa re sa ni sa.
These kinds of ornaments are very common in Indian music and they give it a special sound. Now, about the name I use, sitar tempura, I made it up to describe the sound Paul gave to some of his solos in those years. A sound that reminded me of a sitar and a tempura, which are both Indian instruments. This is a sitar and this is a tempura, and here's how they sound. Now, let's go back to Strawberry Fields. With this in mind, we can hear some Murki in Paul's solo. He also used a pedal note by playing the 5th string open, which I think he wants to sound like a tempura, just to fill the background of the solo and make it feel more Indian. Now that I've explained this sitar tempura style, let's move on to other solos where Paul used it. Of course, I couldn't forget this amazing solo. This was the first time Paul used the sitar tempura style, with lots of microtonal ornaments that give it that Indian sound. Now we move to 1967, where we hear even more of this style in songs like Sgt. Pepper's and Good Morning, Good Morning. In Good Morning, Good Morning, we hear the open A string again as a pedal note, like a tempura. There's another song on Sgt. Pepper's album with a very mysterious guitar solo. What's strange about this solo is that it was recorded at medium speed and then sped up. That's why it sounds so unique. It's a trick they had used before. I already made a video about this song in this channel, so if you want to see it, I'll leave a link in the description. After 67 came the White Album. It's hard to know for sure which solos are 100% Paul's and which aren't, but he never used that Indian style again in Beatles songs. The last time we hear Paul as lead guitarist in the Beatles is on Maxwell's Silver Hammer, where he played a rhythmic solo along with George. And in the legendary solo of what I think is the best Beatles song. I have no words to describe that solo. To me, Paul's playing here is just incredible, and it definitely inspired the kind of sound he will use later in his solo career. If you liked this video, let me know by giving it a like and leaving your opinion in the comments. If you want me to analyze another song, tell me in the comments too. I'd be happy to consider it for future videos. I'm Gio and I'll see you in the next video.